This is the beggar who bought the bank. Final parts. The chairman adjusted his glasses and slowly looked around the banking hall. Every employee stood frozen. The silence was so deep that the ticking of the large wall clock could be heard. The chairman finally spoke. Ladies and gentlemen, effective from now, Crown Trust Bank has concluded a change of ownership. The announcement sent whispers through the hall. A new owner? When did this happen? Who bought the bank? The chairman raised his hand for silence. The acquisition was completed late last night after several months of negotiations. Mr. Raymond forced a smile. Sir, when will we have the honor of meeting our new chairman? The chairman glanced towards the entrance. He's already here. Every head turned at once. The glass door slowly opened. An elderly man walked inside. He wore a neatly pressed dark grey suit. His shoes were polished. The walking stick remained in his right hand. His pace was slow, calm, dignified. For several seconds, nobody recognized him. Then Daniel's eyes widened. His heart skipped a beat. Baba? The whispers escaped his lips before he realized it. One after another, employees began recognizing the familiar face. The security guards stared in disbelief. The cashiers covered their mouths. The customers looked from one another in confusion. It was him, the old beggar. The man who had spent 3 years beneath the rain tree. The same man people had insulted, mocked, ignored. Mr. Raymond laughed nervously. There must be some mistake. The chairman looked at him. There is no mistake. He stepped aside respectfully. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to meet the new majority shareholder and chairman of Crown Trust Bank, Mr. Jacob Adewale. They all fell completely silent. It was the kind of silence that only comes when reality refuses to make sense. Mr. Raymond's smile disappeared. His face turned pale. No, that's impossible. I have seen him begging outside this bank for years. Jacob looked at him quietly. I never begged. The words were gentle, but they struck harder than a shout. Mr. Raymond frowned. You carried a begging cup. Jacob smiled. People choose to put money into it. I never asked. Nobody knew what to say. Daniel felt goosebumps spread across his arms. Everything suddenly made sense. The business books, the calculations, the mysterious visitors, the luxury vehicles, the respect shown by strangers. None of it had been a coincidence. The chairman invited Jacob to address everyone. The elderly man slowly stepped forward. I owe all of you an explanation. He rested both hands on his walking stick. 40 years ago, I founded an investment company. It began with only 5 employees. We worked hard. We grew. We invested wisely. Eventually, we became one of the largest private investment groups in the country. A murmur swept through the hall. Jacob continued. My wife managed our charitable foundation. My only son was preparing to take over the business. Then, 12 years ago, his voice became softer. I lost both of them in a road accident. After burying my family, I discovered something painful. Many people who had called themselves friends disappeared. They loved my words, but they never loved me. He paused. So I handed the daily operations of my company to trusted professionals. I withdrew from public life. I wanted to understand people again. I wanted to know how ordinary people treated those they believed had nothing. His eyes slowly moved across the banking hall, so I became invisible. I dressed in old clothes. I carried an empty cup, and I sat where thousands of people could review their true character without realizing anyone was watching. The room became painfully quiet. I chose this bank because years ago, it looked around the building. This institution was built on honesty, but somewhere along the way, it forgot that banking is not only about protecting money, it is also about protecting people. His words pierced every heart in the room. Then he looked directly at Mr. Raymond. I watched an old widow leave this bank in tears. I watched struggling families treated like burdens. I watched employees insult one another. I watched power replace compassion. Mr. Raymond lowered his head. Jacob did not raise his voice. I also watched something else. He turned towards Daniel. I watched a young cleaner who never passed an old man without asking whether he had eaten. Daniel froze. I watched him share food when he had very little. I watched him give away his umbrella during the rain. I watched him help a stranger without expecting anything in return. Jacob smiled warmly. My son, you thought you were feeding a beggar. In truth, you were feeding your own future. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. Jacob reached into his coat pocket and handed a sealed envelope to the chairman. The chairman opened it carefully before smiling. I have been authorized to announce the chairman's first executive decisions. He cleared his throat. Mr. Raymond, you are hereby dismissed with immediate effect. The internal investigation has confirmed financial misconduct, abuse of authority, and serious violations of company ethics. 2 compliance officers stepped forward. Mr. Raymond's shoulder dropped. He knew there was nothing left to say. Without another word, he removed his staff identification card and quietly walked towards the exits. He passed through the same doors where he had once ordered an innocent old man to leave. No one stopped him. No one defended him. Jacob watched silently until the doors closed behind him. Then he smiled gently. Justice doesn't always arrive quickly, but when it comes, it rarely loses its way. The chairman unfolded the second document, our second announcement. Mr. Daniel Williams. Daniel looked around, convinced another Daniel must work there. You have been appointed acting branch manager. The banking hall erupted. Daniel stood speechless. Sir, I'm only a cleaner. Jacob smiled. No, you were a cleaner. You already possess the one quality that cannot be taught in any university. Daniel whispered. What quality is that, sir? Jacob's answer was simple. A good heart. The applause grew louder. Some employees wiped away tears. Others lowered their heads in shame as memories of how they had treated the old man came flooding back. Jacob looked around the hall one last time. I did not buy this bank because I needed another business. I bought it because institutions should never forget that every customer, rich or poor, young or old, deserves dignity. Months later, Crown Trust Bank became known across the country for something far more valuable than its profits. It became the bank where elderly customers were never rushed, where cleaners were treated with respect, and just inside every branch entrance, a bronze plaque was placed on the wall. It carried only one sentence: never measure a person's worth by the clothes they wear. Character is the greatest wealth anyone can possess. As for Jacob, he never returned to the rain tree, not because he had forgotten it, but because his lesson had already taken root. And every morning, as Daniel walked into the bank he now managed, he would glance across the road, smile quietly to himself, and remember the old man who taught the entire city that the poorest looking person in the crowd might be the richest soul among them. And that, my friends, is the story of the beggar who bought the bank. I know you enjoyed this story. Please subscribe to my channel, subscribe to African Folktales by God's Time. Until our next video, may wisdom guide your paths.